I thought I'd do a bit more on this whirligig I'm refurbishing. I mentioned in my previous video that the horse on the end, the sail, would be okay and I could transfer it. Well, unfortunately, when I tried to get it off, I found it's all rotted away in here. So it's very soft. I could cut it off and make a new base, but I thought the easiest thing, rather than try and fiddle with that, I'd have a fresh start. So to that end, I created another creature to go on the end there. It's not very posh, but it'll do the job. I haven't actually varnished it yet. I just stuck a bit of acrylic paint on there, and I should put a good coat of varnish when I fit it. It's only just put in temporary. It's not actually fitted in at the moment. What I'm doing this video for today is because I thought I'd do a little bit on showing how to make this horseshoe lift up and down. At the moment it's just lying on the table. Now if you're making this particular whirligig, you can, if you wish, leave it like that because you've got some motion with the hammer, which is functioning okay, but I like to have this tapping up and down as well because it gives an extra piece of movement. So I'm just gonna, it's largely experimental, but I thought it might give a few pointers if I showed how I do it. Now you can use ordinary soft wire. This is a piece here, difficult to show it in the camera, but it's just thin, very easily to bend, and that's the best stuff to use for experimenting with. I have got some stiffer wire. This stuff here is more springy. Oh, there's the camera. I couldn't find the camera. I'm looking at the screen, which is upside down. This is more springy. It's actually stuff they used to use in those loose leaf binders where you put magazines in a binder, and there's some thin strips, and I thought they're quite useful, so I chucked them in my scrap box. But it's quite difficult to bend, and they're a little bit brittle, but I thought because it's springy it might be good for that. However, it's going to be difficult measuring it up, so what I'm going to do, I might think about that. I'm going to use this cheap easily bendable wire to start with, so I can work out roughly what length it needs to be and what bends it needs, because all it's got to do is fit in his little arm here and then just tap underneath here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just at the moment, to fit it in, what I should do is drill 2 small holes in there, poke the wire through, create a bend on a double bend, and then poke it back through and just tap it in tight and then bend it round under here to lift it up. But I've got to know the exact sizes really, so I'm just going to offer the wire up. I'm just going to, at the moment, I'm just going to tie it round there, round his arm. This is just, as you understand, for experimental purposes. I have to watch I don't break it. This is not the final job. I should take this up and do it properly when I'm done. I'm just trying to show you how it works now. So I'm just hanging it out straight now. Now you want to put a little bend in there, and let's get the arm out of the way. We'll put his arm out of the way. I hope this is, you can see what's happening. So I've now got this piece of wire stuck underneath. I'll put the arm back down. Now we'll see what happens when I turn the fan. Now that's not too bad. He's lifting the horseshoe up, as you can see. So it is doing the job it's intended for, but it's a little bit too high. I don't really want it going too high, so I've got to adjust this a little bit. So I'm going to bend it down there and just up a little bit. Again, this is only experimental. You know, this is not the final job. I should do it properly afterwards. I'm just testing it. I think that's still a bit too high, so I'm going to have to take it down a bit more, like that. Try that. We'll see what that is. That's better. But I think the wire's too far forward now, so I'm going to bend it back a bit. You've got to watch it doesn't hit on his body, because otherwise it will jam the thing up. So that's a happy medium. Now that actually is about right, I think, because it's just lifting the horseshoe up off the anvil. Everything seems to be working. It's just touching his body there. That won't really matter. And what I would do then, I will bend a little bit of this. Let it come out a bit, because this is going to move in and out a bit, because there's going to be play in his arm up here. So this will move. So what you want to do is bend it a little bit. So you put a little hook. Obviously you can cut this long piece off here, and you'll see that when I've finally done it. But that seems to be about right, you see. And having the hook on there will prevent this from flying off the end. So what I'm going to do now, that's roughly, I worked out exact from that whereabouts I need the wire, how it needs to be bent, and then I can plan ahead by drilling 2 holes, putting it through and bending it to that shape. I'm going to try and use this springy wire if I can. but I don't know whether it'll be very successful because there's quite a few bends and it'll probably snap. The wire won't last all that long. I find if you get really strong winds, it does put a lot of pressure on it, but it's only just toughing that up. I've taken the arm off the whirligig, and I'm going to drill a couple of little holes using this very small bit. This drill's about the same size as the wire that I'm going to use. This is the wire. So what I'm going to do is drill a couple of small holes in there to accommodate the wire. There we go. So now that wire should poke through those holes, and I can poke it through the other end, put a little bend on. Now I'm going to have a go at using this stiffer, more springy wire. I've not used this before, so I don't know whether it's going to work. What I've done, using the long nose pliers, I've made a little sort of square shape on the end there. I've bent it a double bend on it that I'm going to poke through the holes that we drilled earlier, and then I'm going to put it back on the whirligig, and we'll see if I can bend it enough to make it work. And I've got to get this the right way round. The handle goes on that way, so the wire's got to come through that direction. So I'm going to poke it through there. Right, now I can put it through one hole, then the other hole I drilled I can put the other end through, and then I can press that in through there. I can tap that in with a little hammer. I'm using long nose pliers. So you can see what I've done. I've put the other end through there. And all I've got now is just the wire sticking out. Now we'll pop that back on to the whirligig. Oh, you can't see it now. Sorry about that. I have to move the camera up a bit. Is that about right? Right, there's his other arm. We'll bring that back round now. Now I've put the linkage back on, and now so for turn so you can see what's happening. I've just got the wire sticking straight out, so I've got to put a bend in there first of all to bring the wire down. So we'll just, I don't know if I can do that by hand. I've got to watch it don't snap because it's a very springy bit of wire. And then using the test piece that I used, I should be able to work out roughly what length I need. I think it was about around there. Very springy, this wire. I thought it might last a bit longer being springy. Oh, that's not too bad actually, even that. Oh, that's not bad. I'm quite happy with that. I'll move that back a bit. It's so springy, it springs back into shape. I just thought it might last a bit longer. The other wire does tend to wear out quickly. But actually, that's quite perfect. I think that'll do fine. I don't know what you think, but I think that looks quite nice. All I've got to do now is bend this end up a bit to prevent it falling off, and then cut the end off. So I'll just put a. You don't want to leave. Don't get it too close because it tend to jam. Leave a bit of play on it. So I think if I go about ½ an inch from the end, I'm going to bend that up like that. And then all I've got to do is snip the surplus off. I'll leave it a little bit higher because it helps. Because sometimes what I have had happen, when it gets really strong, it flies this thing up, and then this can fly up and over the top, and then it jams up like that. Sometimes he'll flick his arm right over like that. You'll find it like that in the strong wind. So I'm going to cut it off about there because it won't matter. That's fairly high. Let's see if that works all right. Well, I think that's quite good actually. Anyway, I just thought I'd show that little bit because it's a sort of thing you've got to experiment with, but it's quite good fun doing it. Right, well, most of the whirligig is now done. Just needs a few final adjustments and some more varnish. I've got to fit the tail on properly. I should fit that and we'll probably put some sealant down there to seal it. One thing I should mention is a good idea. I'm just going to take this off. It's just a slot there that it fits in. Well, water will run down off the tail through there and it will rot it. So what I should do before I put the tail piece in, I shall drill 2 or 3 holes in there right through the bottom, and that any water that's gathering there will be able to run out underneath rather than lying in there and rotting the tail away. Now what I was just going to do was I'm going to show you what I do to find the centre of balance for where the pole's going to go. All I do, just put a thin piece of wood in the vise. It's not very technical this, but it works. And I just put the whirligig on like that and then just move it backwards and forwards a few times. Now there, that's about, it doesn't have to be exact, that's about the point of balance I would say. But it's important to make sure when you do this that you've got everything on there, because obviously if you took the tail off, it makes a tremendous difference. The point of balance moves dramatically. So you've got to have the tail on and all the stuff on the whirligig, and also the fan on this end. It's no good doing it without the fan. Now my point of balance roughly is around about there, I think, near as damn it. But the thing is, because I've used this base plate before, I've already got a hole drilled there, and it's only like ½ inch away, so I'm actually going to use that. I can't see any point in drilling another hole through, because it's not going to make that much difference. So that will be where I shall put the pivot point for my pole. Well, there we are. That's just about it now. It's working. I haven't quite finished it. There's a few adjustments to make, a few screws to tighten up perhaps, a bit of oil needed. Then when I finished it, I shall put a final coat, 1 or 2 coats of yacht varnish on it before it goes outside. Trouble with yacht varnish is it takes ages to dry. It's very sticky stuff, but I think it's supposed to be quite good, especially for outdoor use. So there you have it. I did put a different fan on it, by the way, in case you're wondering. It was a red one before, and I've changed it to one of my special square Bosch ones. I've not used a square Bosch fan in anger yet. I've made them, but it's the first time I actually put one on a whirligig, so we'll see how it copes. But it's only got 4 blades, this one, as opposed to 5 that was on it previously, because I think that'll generate plenty of power anyway. But that's about it. Already finished, I would say, and ready to go outside. And we'll see how long this one lasts. Bye for now.